If someone died, be rest assured that that evening when I sleep, I'll see them in my room. Who is your everyday bread and butter? Who is your everyday bread? If your husband is your rib and you love your husband so much that you cannot be apart from him, or see them take their last breath. And it matters worse, you know how it is when you're in Africa. It is taboo to call an elderly person using their first name. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, the channel where we keep things real. Over the past few months, I've been sharing exciting news about people getting jobs here as healthcare assistants in UK. The unfortunate news is quite a number of people have come to work as healthcare assistants here in UK. The sad news is quite a number of people have actually packed their bags and went back to their countries because they failed to cope with the work environment. They failed to cope with the environment here in UK. They failed to cope with the change when they came this side. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing things which are of paramount importance if you are coming to work as a healthcare assistant here in UK. And if you are not any of those things that I'm going to mention, do yourself a favor and do not apply for the healthcare assistant jobs here in UK, because you are going to be miserable here in UK. And the last thing that you want as an individual is to relocate from your country and come to a foreign land to be miserable. One thing that we cannot deny is that it's not everyone who was meant to be a nurse or who was born to be a nurse, and it's not everyone who was born to be a healthcare assistant. Sometimes there are people who want to use maybe healthcare assistant as a means of just relocating to UK and later on pursue their careers. But then when they're now doing the healthcare assistant job, they get very frustrated because it's not what they expected. Before we get into it, my name is Pauline Popo Moyo, and in this channel we keep things real. And today we are going to be talking about the reality of becoming a healthcare assistant here in UK. And it's not for the faint-hearted. In this channel, I don't sugarcoat things. I say things as they are. And if hearing nothing but the truth is something that you're interested in, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. For now, let's get into it.
Alright, they asking for the queen. I'm a bad bitch, she's a savage. Look back while I twerk. No comparison. I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Hacking, stupid, what was happening? What was happening? I'm a savage.
So guys, I've had quite a number of people ask me, I am 45 years old, can I come and work as a healthcare assistant? I am 50 years old, can I come and work as a healthcare assistant? I'm 58 years old, and the truth is, I can never discourage anyone to come and work as a healthcare assistant. But I always say, if you want to come and work as a healthcare assistant, regardless of what age you are, you have to be physically fit, because healthcare assistant jobs are demanding jobs. You are basically spending 11 hours on your feet or something like that, because most of the time here the shifts are 12-hour shifts. And I sometimes pick healthcare assistant jobs, and per given day I can clock 12 kilometers walking up and down at work. So for those who want to come as healthcare assistant, regardless of what age you are, because UK does not discriminate against age, you have to ensure that you're physically fit and you're going to be able to be trotting up and down for 11 hours, because you're only entitled to 1 hour break. That being said, when you come and work as a healthcare assistant, because some of us come from countries like Africa, and in Africa, an elderly person, someone who's older than you, regardless of whether you know them or not, you treat them as your mother. Unfortunately, when you come and work here in the UK, you might discover that there are people who are going to be your bosses, who are going to be your managers, who are going to be your deputy managers, who are going to be senior care assistants and are 30 years younger than you. And most of the time I discover that if someone is older than you, they don't want to get instructions from you because they feel like you are my child. You cannot be telling me what to do when you are my child. And when you come with that attitude, you're not going to be able to cope. I've had instances where I was doing an assessment for a student nurse, and she literally said, "Phela wena ungumntanami." And "Phela wena ungumntanami" actually means that you are my child. And you being my child, you cannot be instructing me this way. I'm your mother, show me some respect and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that does not work in UK. It does not work in any setup. So you have to be prepared that you are going to be having people who are younger than your own children giving you instructions and expecting you to follow those instructions. And there's no need to be grumpy or give them an attitude because you feel like you are my child, you're not supposed to be instructing me. And to make matters worse, you know how it is when you're in Africa. It is taboo to call an elderly person using their first name. Taboo. But when you come to work here in UK, you have a 19-year-old saying to you, a 58-year-old, "Susan, can you please come here? Susan, can you please come here?" And if you are from Africa, you definitely find it offensive to have a 19-year-old calling you by name. But this is UK. If you are not prepared to be disrespected, I know it's not disrespect here in UK, but it's disrespect to us who are Africans. So if you are not prepared to be disrespected, if you are not prepared to have a 19-year-old as your boss, if you are not prepared to have a 25-year-old as your boss, if you are not prepared to be getting instructions from people who are younger than you, do not apply for healthcare assistant jobs because you are going to be frustrated day in, day out. Another thing, do not come and work as healthcare assistant if you are of a nervous disposition, because sometimes you are going to be dealing with dying clients. Remember, in my other video I said if you are coming to work as a live-in carer, you are going to be taking care of people who are in end of life care, and sometimes you are expected to be with that person until they take their last breath. Some care homes have got a policy that if someone is in the end of life, there's someone who's supposed to be seated there, holding their hand, talking to them, comforting them, saying their goodbyes. There is a belief that they should not be alone. So you are basically trying to relieve them of that anxiety or that fear that they are now dying, because even if someone is in their last stages, they always say that the last sense to go is hearing. So which means you're going to be holding the hand of a dying person, and you are going to be talking to the dying person, and you are going to experience or see them take their last breath. And from my experience, it is not a pleasant experience. It is an emotional experience. It's a touching experience. It's a scary experience at the same time, because I remember when I first started working, when I first started as a student nurse, if someone died, be rest assured that that evening when I sleep, I'll see them in my room. You see, it's because it's something I was not prepared for. I started nursing at 18 and my mind was not yet prepared for such things. So when I initially started, it was a very traumatic experience. And based on the experience that I've had to student nurses, there are certain student nurses who actually resigned where I used to work because they could not cope with death. If you are not prepared psychologically, emotionally, mentally, physically, or whatever, to be dealing with people who are dying, especially if you are applying for a live-in carer job and you are going to be caring for people who are in end of life, do not apply for healthcare assistant jobs, because you are going to be traumatized by those experiences. And from my experience, it's not nice to be sleeping at night and you suddenly think that you are seeing a person who has died earlier on. It was not a pleasant experience, but That is what I used to experience when I initially started nursing, because I was not psychologically prepared for that. To make matters worse, when I trained as a nurse back then, you'd have people passing away 5 per night. And when they pass away, you will be expected to do the last offices, of which, okay, here in UK, they don't usually do the last offices. But you can imagine how traumatic it was having 5 deaths in one shift, and you have to be doing the last offices for all those people, and you are just a 19-year-old. So if you are of a nervous disposition, do not apply for healthcare assistant jobs. And if you want to come as a healthcare assistant, you need to be empathetic, because if you are not empathetic, then this job is not for you. Because sometimes you have to put yourself in the person's shoes. Ask yourself, if I was this person, how would I feel? Or better still, you ask yourself, if this person was my mother, how was I going to treat them? Because some people have left because they are not able to deal with poo every day. But then if you're coming to work as a healthcare assistant, poo is your everyday bread and butter. Poo is your everyday bread and butter, because you are taking care of people who are not able to perform activities of daily living for themselves, which means they're also not going to be able to toilet themselves, which means they're going to be doing number 1, number 2 in the pads, and your role is to be cleaning that number 2. You can have 30 residents per given day. In the morning, 15 of them have number 2. In the afternoon, 15 of them have number 2. In the evening, 20 of them have number 2. And you are expected to be cleaning, changing them, assessing the stool, and documenting what type of stool it is. And some people are not able to deal with that. Some people are not able to deal with that. They just can't cope with that every day. They end up even hating the residents because of having number 2. But you really have to be empathetic, and you really have to be a carer at heart, because caring jobs is a calling. I know that people who have changed their professions. I'm an engineer, I'm a teacher, I'm a bank manager, I'm a finance manager, I'm a director, I'm a what, and they've come to do care jobs. But if it is not within you to care, you will have a tough time to transition from being a bank manager, from being an accountant, from being an engineer, into having poo as your everyday bread and butter. When you're coming to work as a healthcare assistant, you have to be prepared to acclimatize. I know that you might say, you're talking of weather. What is it about weather? Terrible weather. I don't know if I have noted that terrible weather actually affects your mental state. People are depressed when it's very cold, and UK is one of the countries which is sometimes it's very cold, where you can have 4 weathers in one day. 1 minute is sunny as it is right now. The next minute it's snowing. The next minute it's raining. The next minute the weather, you've got all sorts of weather in UK. But sometimes if you're not ready to acclimatize, you'll be miserable in this UK weather. I, for one, when I came here, I was actually contemplating going back home because I couldn't cope with the weather. It might seem like a minor thing, but it is really a big issue, especially if you've got conditions like arthritis. You really have a torrid time. I'm a home care worker. I don't have a car, and I'm expected to go to 6 different places per given day. And if you're not prepared for that kind of weather, you are going to be sick. You'll be miserable. The UK weather makes you very, very miserable. There are studies which have actually said one of the causes of depression in UK is because the weather is always gloomy, and a gloomy weather actually changes the mood for the day. You are also gloomy when the weather is gloomy, and when the weather is beautiful like this, you'll be excited. It actually makes you a happier person, isn't it? Smash that like button if you agree with me, and don't forget to subscribe. Another thing, if you're not able to live without your family, if your husband is your rib and you love your husband so much that you cannot be apart from him, you cannot cope when you're apart from them, do not apply for healthcare assistant jobs, because sometimes it might take you a long time before you're actually able to raise money to bring your family. And believe me, if you are not with your family, it affects you so much. I've seen incidences where people actually say, I'm not going to do OSCE until I have my family here. I failed OSCE because this is nursing. I failed OSCE because I didn't have my family here. I am depressed because I didn't have my family here. And based on experience again, I remember one time this man came to me. I seated there at KFC eating, but I had tears rolling down my eyes until he asked, are you okay? I was like, I miss my children. So at times, if you're not that person who's able to be separated from your husband or separated from your family for a long time, do not come as a healthcare assistant, because you are going to be miserable alone here in UK. You will be alone, you'll be lonely, you'll be miserable. Guys, I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to make this video too long because the list is endless. But some of the things which I have mentioned in this video are some of the reasons why people have packed their bags and went back to their homes, because they couldn't cope. They could not cope. So if you feel like you're not going to be able to cope with any of the things which I've mentioned in this video, because you're going to be experiencing them more often than not, do not apply for healthcare assistant jobs. This video is not to discourage anyone from coming to UK as a healthcare assistant, but is to make you aware of the challenges that you're going to face when you come here as a healthcare assistant to UK, and you have to be prepared for those challenges. If you're not prepared for those challenges, healthcare assistant jobs are not yours. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Much love from me to you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.